The story of Rome begins not in grandeur, but in myth, for the Romans believed their city was born from legend, a tale of twins named Romulus and Remus, abandoned at birth and raised by a she-wolf. And while historians doubt the literal truth, this myth set the tone for a civilization that would always see itself as destined for greatness. According to tradition, the city was founded in 753 BCE on the banks of the Tiber River, its location a crossroads of trade and a strategic center in Italy. The early Romans were influenced by the neighboring Etruscans and Greeks, borrowing religious practices, architecture, and ideas of government, yet Rome's character was also forged by struggle. The monarchy of the early kings gave way to the republic in 509 BCE when the last Etruscan king was overthrown, and in the new system power rested in the Senate, dominated by patrician aristocrats, but also contested by the plebeians, the common people who demanded rights, protection, and a voice in law. The resulting conflict of the orders shaped Rome's political evolution, giving rise to tribunes who could veto unfair laws and setting precedents for checks and balances that echo even in modern democracies. Still, Rome was not content to remain a small city-state. Through a combination of disciplined military organization, shrewd diplomacy, and sheer determination, Rome expanded first across Latium, then across Italy, defeating rivals like the Etruscans, Samnites, and Greek colonies in the south. By the 3rd century BCE, Rome controlled the entire Italian peninsula. But success brought new enemies, most famously Carthage, a powerful maritime empire based in North Africa. The struggle between Rome and Carthage produced the Punic Wars, 3 titanic conflicts that spanned more than a century. The Second War is remembered most vividly when the Carthaginian general Hannibal marched his elephants across the Alps and struck terror into the heart of Italy, winning great victories at Trebia, Lake Trasimene, and Cannae. Yet despite devastation, Rome endured, adapting its strategy, wearing down Hannibal and eventually sending Scipio Africanus to strike Carthage itself, culminating in victory at the Battle of Zama in 200 BCE. Carthage was crippled. Rome emerged supreme in the western Mediterranean and soon extended its reach into Greece, Macedonia, and Asia Minor, absorbing the Hellenistic world and becoming a power that straddled east and west. With empire came wealth, but also strain. The influx of slaves and riches widened social gaps. Small farmers lost their land to wealthy elites, while urban populations swelled with poverty. Unrest grew. Reformers like the Gracchus brothers tried to address inequality, but met violent deaths. And the Republic entered an age of civil strife. Ambitious generals exploited the system. Marius reformed the legions into professional armies, loyal to their commanders, rather than the state. Sulla marched his troops on Rome itself, setting a precedent for military dictatorship. The Republic's ideals weakened as men sought power above law. In the 1st century BCE, 3 figures emerged in a tenuous alliance. Known as the First Triumvirate, Julius Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus, together they dominated politics, but rivalry soon shattered the alliance. Crassus died in Parthia. Pompey aligned with the Senate, and Caesar, after conquering Gaul with brilliant campaigns, defied the Senate by crossing the Rubicon in 49 BCE, sparking civil war. Caesar defeated Pompey and declared himself dictator, initiating reforms but arousing fears of monarchy. On the Ides of March 44 BCE, he was assassinated by senators who imagined they were saving the Republic, yet instead they unleashed more chaos. Another round of civil wars ended with the rise of Caesar's adopted heir Octavian, who, after defeating Mark Antony and Cleopatra at Actium in 31 BCE, took the title Augustus, becoming Rome's first emperor. The Republic was gone, the empire was born. Augustus cleverly preserved republican forms while holding absolute power. He secured frontiers, reformed administration, and ushered in the Pax Romana, a 200-year period of relative peace and prosperity. Rome's empire expanded to Britain, the Rhine and Danube rivers, the Middle East, and North Africa. Its roads, aqueducts, and cities spread Roman culture, law, and Latin language across vast lands. Emperors who followed varied from capable rulers like Trajan, who brought the empire to its greatest territorial extent, to infamous figures like Nero, remembered for cruelty and excess. Yet despite turmoil, the empire remained resilient. binding diverse peoples with citizenship, law, and shared identity still challenges loomed in the 3rd century CE. Rome faced crisis, a cycle of weak emperors, military usurpers, economic troubles, and barbarian invasions. Strained the system, the empire nearly collapsed, but leaders like Diocletian and Constantine restored some stability. Diocletian divided the empire for efficiency. Constantine embraced Christianity, legalizing and promoting a faith that would transform Roman identity forever. With Constantinople founded as a new eastern capital, the empire's center of gravity shifted eastward. Meanwhile, the Western Empire weakened, beset by internal decline, corruption, and waves of invasions by Goths, Vandals, Huns, and other tribes. In 410 CE, the Visigoths sacked Rome, shocking the ancient world. Though the city recovered somewhat, the Western Empire was fatally weakened. By 476 CE, the last Roman emperor in the West, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed by the Germanic chieftain Odoacer, marking the traditional end of the Western Roman Empire. Yet Rome's legacy was not extinguished. In the East, the Byzantine Empire endured for another 1,000 years, preserving Roman law, culture, and Christian tradition, and across Europe the memory of Rome inspired kingdoms, empires, and the very idea of civilization. From its mythical origins with Romulus and Remus, through the glory of the Republic, the might of the legions, the splendor of the empire, and the drama of its fall, Rome's story remains one of ambition, conquest, struggle, and transformation, a tale that shaped the foundations of the modern world and continues to fascinate us today. For Rome may have fallen, but its spirit, its laws, its language, and its legends still live on in countless ways, reminding us that even the greatest empires are both fragile and eternal in memory.